Hey everybody, Bob Moffitt here, and my presentation is on the effect of family on kids' educational achievement and hopefully what we as teachers can do about it. One of the things that impacts kids the most is incarceration of parents. 2.3% of US kids have a parent in federal or state prison. That's a lot of kids, and you got to remember that also the Black kids and Hispanic kids are more likely to have parents who are in that situation. So it's a good idea to get to know your students. There's a lot of stressors that come on families when that happens. So I'll just give you a quick quiz, which is what do you think the percentages of kids whose parents are incarcerated who drop out? 25, 50, or 75? If you said 50, you are correct. One other stressor is divorce. About 2/5 of US kids experience divorce by the age of 15, and that means that more kids are also going to then have parents with new partners, and there are relationship issues there that develop. So that's something to keep in mind. It also affects boys a lot more than it affects girls. So keep that in mind. Sometimes divorce brings about poverty, or at least a decrease in the income for whichever parental unit has the kids. Poverty is people in poverty are right on the border, are susceptible to shifts in the economy. So we had the Great Recession, and you can see what happened with Black and Hispanic kids, families, and their incomes when that happened. And the same thing happened recently with COVID. So we went to something like 11.7% of people below the poverty line in December because of COVID. So somewhere in the range of terrible things that happen, you're going to have between 9 and 13% of the population that are below the poverty line, which means a lot of kids are going to be below the poverty line. And that's going to mean stress and anxiety, et cetera. Here we go. We also, and so some of those things lead to drug issues or alcohol abuse. 8.7 million kids, 17 or younger, live in households with at least one parent with some sort of alcohol or substance abuse issue. Parental involvement is a big deal in schools, and the question is, is all parental attendance equal? If parents can only make it to the school cleanup on a Saturday and they can't make it to back to school nights, well, is that equal, really? And the answer is probably not. So try to figure out where the parents are and how to bring them in, to make them, to equalize things so that the parents who can make it to back to school night don't have an unfair advantage. Remember that lobbying for better teaching is not the same as lobbying the teacher for better grading. We've all got the parent, is going to come in and he's going to say, hey, why does Jimmy have a D? And you can say, well, because Jimmy didn't do the work to get an A. And so then you have to have that conversation with those parents about, what they need to do and what the kids need to do in order to be, successful students. Parents need to be involved, and the question is how and when. And there's a great study out of Canada that shows 3.5 methods on average of communicating with parents were enacted by teachers there before the start of the school year. And the teachers that did that had significantly better grades for their kids than teachers who did not. So it's something to remember. There's a study up in Canada that really showed, that was a success. Also, parents with high expectations of their kids have better grades than parents with low expectations. So what's next? What do we take away from this? Do your best to integrate parents early, especially those who may not have felt integrated when they were in school. Bring them in, lob them a phone call, find out what their questions are, what technology do they need to know about. That those 4%, only 4% of those Canadian teachers met with parents of kids before the school year. If we can increase that number, we got a better shot at getting ahead of this and trying to bring those parents in, because parents are really going to help make, their kids' jobs easier and our jobs easier.